The empire that mastered money before it, mastered the world before stock exchanges dictated the fate of nations, before banks decided who would rise and who would fall, before the word economy carried the weight it does today. There existed a civilization that understood a dangerous truth long before the rest of the world caught on. Power is temporary. Systems are permanent. This is not the story of a king. This is the story of a system so precise, so disciplined, that it allowed an empire to rule continents without ruling every sword. Welcome to the Financial Historian, where money isn't numbers, it's control. When most people think of ancient civilizations, they imagine monuments, gods, and battles. They picture generals shouting orders and armies colliding in dust and blood. But history doesn't move forward because of noise. It moves forward because of structure. And one empire understood this earlier than almost anyone else. The Achaemenid Persian Empire didn't just conquer land. The Achaemenid Persian Empire didn't just conquer land. Stretching from the Mediterranean to the Indus Valley, it governed millions of people who spoke different languages, worshipped different gods, and lived by different economic rules. That diversity should have shattered the empire from within. Instead, it became its greatest advantage. Because Persia didn't try to erase differences, it tried to account for them. Every empire faces the same question once expansion stops being a dream and becomes a burden. How do you rule what you cannot personally see? How do you collect wealth from people who do not share your culture? How do you prevent corruption when your borders take months to cross? How do you keep control without constant violence? Most empires answered with force. Persia answered with finance. The breakthrough didn't come from conquest. It came from measurement. Under Darius III, the empire was divided into precisely defined administrative regions, not vague territories. Not symbolic provinces, but measurable economic units, each evaluated by output, population, and resources. For the first time in history, an empire asked not, "What can we take?" but "What can this region sustainably provide?" This single shift changed everything. Taxes stopped being arbitrary punishment and became predictable obligation. Predictability created stability. Stability created compliance. And compliance created power. Then came standardization, the silent killer of chaos. A single gold coin, a consistent weight, a trusted purity. The Persian Daric didn't just represent wealth, it represented certainty. In a world where trust was rare, Persia minted it into metal. Merchants accepted it across borders. Soldiers demanded it as pay. Even enemies preferred it over their own currencies, not because they respected Persia, but because they trusted its discipline. That is real power. Not fear, not loyalty, reliability, but money without movement is dead capital. So Persia built arteries. The royal road wasn't just a highway, it was a control system. Messages, orders, taxes, intelligence, bullion, all moving faster than rebellion could organize. Speed turned distance into illusion. When a governor considered betrayal, he knew one thing: the empire would know before he could act. Infrastructure didn't connect cities, it connected authority. Behind it all stood the treasury, not as decoration, but as defense. Persia stockpiled wealth not to show dominance, but to absorb shocks, famine, revolt, war, disaster. The empire didn't scramble for resources. It released them strategically. This is a lesson most modern nations still fail to learn. Wealth is not for display, it is for resilience. And yet, the most dangerous innovation wasn't money, roads, or taxes. It was incentives. Persia didn't rule through constant punishment. It ruled through calculated rewards. Local elites were funded, not erased. Temples were integrated, not destroyed. Governors were monitored, balanced, and audited long before the word audit existed. The empire ran not on fear, but on alignment. Everyone benefited from stability, and stability benefited the empire. This was empire as architecture, not aggression. And like all great systems, it worked until people forgot why it worked. Later, kings inherited wealth without understanding discipline. Reserves turned into luxury. Administration turned into entitlement. Accountability faded. The system didn't fail overnight. It eroded quietly. When Alexander arrived, Persia didn't fall because he was brilliant. It fell because the system had stopped respecting itself. That is the final law of power. No system collapses from the outside until it rots from the inside. History has proven this again and again. Rome didn't fall when it lost battles. It fell when its currency lost meaning. Spain didn't collapse from invasion. It collapsed from mismanaged wealth. Britain didn't lose empire by force. It lost financial dominance. It's never the sword that breaks first. It's the spreadsheet. And today, the same laws apply. Borders are digital. Roads are data. Coins are numbers on screens. But the structure, the logic, is unchanged. Control the flow. Standardize trust. Build reserves. Measure honestly. Prepare early. Because money is not wealth. Clarity is. History doesn't repeat, but it punishes ignorance without mercy. If this changed how you see power, remember one thing. Empires rise when they master systems. Empires fall when they forget why systems matter. And the most dangerous illusion of all is believing that this time is different.